Hey man, there comes a moment in every man's life where he decides that enough is enough. Enough sleepless nights wondering why she left. Enough replaying conversations that went nowhere. Enough asking himself what he could have done differently to keep her. Brother, that moment is the turning point. The day you step into a different kind of manhood, the kind where no woman will ever hurt you again. Not because you'll never love again, not because you'll never be vulnerable again, but because you've built a frame so strong that her actions can no longer break you. Pain only comes when you allow her choices to dictate your worth. Once you stop handing over that power, once you anchor your value in yourself, the game changes forever. You see, women only hurt men who are willing to be destroyed by them. They only hurt men who beg, who cling, who place their happiness in her hands. When you make her the center of your world, you hand her the keys to your peace. And what do most women do with that kind of power? They test it, they stretch it, they push it until you bend. But here's the truth, you don't have to bend. You don't have to hand her that kind of control in the first place. The man who keeps his mission above his emotions is untouchable. He can still love, but his love doesn't weaken him. It strengthens him, because his identity is no longer tied to whether she stays or leaves. Brother, no woman will ever hurt you again. Once you understand that female love is conditional, she doesn't love you for who you are alone. She loves you for what you represent, what you provide, how you make her feel. And the second you stop fulfilling that condition, her emotions shift, and she feels justified in pulling away. Most men get destroyed at this stage because they thought her love was unconditional. They thought all their sacrifices guaranteed permanence. But once you accept that her love is conditional, you stop expecting it to be eternal. You stop being surprised when feelings fade, and instead of being broken by it, you adjust, you pivot, and you remain grounded. That shift in perspective alone will save you years of heartbreak. The man who cannot be hurt by women is not the man who avoids them, he's the man who understands them. He sees the patterns, the cycles, the tests, and he refuses to be caught off guard by them. When she pulls away, he doesn't chase. When she tests him, he doesn't flinch. When she threatens to leave, he lets her, because he knows that love cannot be forced, and loyalty cannot be begged. The strength of his frame is what keeps him standing when most men fall. And women, ironically, are drawn even more to this kind of man. The one who cannot be shaken, who cannot be manipulated, who cannot be destroyed by their storms. And here's the beautiful paradox. The less you can be hurt, the less women will try to hurt you. Because they only push where they see weakness. They only manipulate when they sense you'll react. They only test when they believe you'll break. But when you carry yourself with unshakable calm, when you respond with clarity instead of desperation, when you show her that your world doesn't revolve around her approval, she shifts. Her respect grows, her games lessen, and her desire deepens. Because deep down, every woman is searching for the man who cannot be moved, the man who remains rooted no matter how strong the winds blow. And once you become that man, no woman will ever hurt you again, because her attempts won't even land. The mistake most men make is that they give their hearts before they've built their backbone. They fall headfirst into romance, pouring everything into a woman who hasn't yet proven she's worthy of that level of investment. And when she pulls away, cheats, or discards him, he feels gutted because he placed his entire sense of self in her hands. Brother, that is why you must build yourself first. Build your mission, your values, your discipline, your peace. Because when those things are in place, no woman, no matter how beautiful, no matter how intoxicating, can ever become the center of your universe. She can complement it, she can enhance it, but she can never control it. And that's the difference between a man who gets broken and a man who stays unbreakable. You see, women test men constantly, not because they're evil, but because they want to feel his strength. They poke, they provoke, they push, just to see if you'll wobble. And when you do wobble, when you beg, when you over-explain, when you give up your frame to appease her, her respect evaporates. Respect is the foundation of attraction. Without it, nothing survives. So if you want to reach the point where no woman can hurt you, you must master your response to her tests. Don't argue, don't chase, don't collapse. Hold your frame, because once she sees that you cannot be bent, she either aligns with your strength or she leaves. And either outcome is a win for you. Brother, no woman will ever hurt you again. once you learn the art of indifference. Not coldness, not cruelty, indifference. This is the state where you no longer react emotionally to her games. She ghosts you. You stay calm. She withdraws affection. You don't panic. She threatens to leave. You tell her the door's open. And what happens in that moment is powerful. Her manipulation loses all its weight because her power over you only existed in your reactions. Without your emotional energy feeding it, her games collapse. Indifference is not about not caring. It's about caring for yourself more than you care for her approval. That's the shield that keeps you unhurt. And here's the deeper truth. Women don't actually want to hurt you. They want to test you. But if you don't understand the difference, you'll mistake every test as cruelty. A woman tests not to destroy, but to measure. She wants to know if you're really the man you appear to be, or if you're just playing the part. And if you fail, she loses respect. But if you pass, if you remain calm, grounded, and certain, her attraction deepens. So the man who understands this no longer feels hurt when she pushes. He feels challenged. He sees it as an opportunity to prove, not to her, but to himself, that his frame is unshakable. And once you embrace that, no test can break you, and no woman can truly hurt you. Brother, the ultimate reason no woman will ever hurt you again is because you finally realize that love is not about control, it's about choice. You cannot control whether she stays or leaves. You cannot control whether she respects you or betrays you, but you can always control your response. You can always control your boundaries. You can always control who you give access to. That's the secret most men never learn. You don't need to change women to protect yourself. You only need to change yourself. The man who lives by his own standards, who enforces his own boundaries, who values himself above her approval, becomes untouchable because he no longer fears loss. And when you no longer fear loss, no woman can ever hurt you again. The reason most men get hurt is because they mistake possession for partnership. They believe that if she's theirs, then she owes them unconditional loyalty. But women aren't possessions, brother. They're people, and people move with feelings. When you try to own her, you set yourself up for heartbreak, because the moment she feels trapped, she'll rebel. But when you build yourself into a man who doesn't need to own anyone, who simply sets the standard and allows people to either meet it or exit, then you stop being wounded by departures. A woman cannot hurt you if you never tried to cage her in the first place. You don't control her, you control access to you. That's the difference. That's the power. Think about this. Every time a woman hurt you in the past, it wasn't her actions that truly destroyed you. It was your interpretation of them. She left, but you told yourself it meant you weren't enough. She cheated, but you told yourself it meant you were worthless. She disrespected you, but you told yourself it meant you failed. Do you see it? The real pain wasn't her. It was the story you told yourself because of her. And once you master your narrative, once you stop letting her actions define your worth, the game ends. She can leave, she can betray, she can mock, but it no longer penetrates you, because you know her actions speak of her character, not your value. That shift alone guarantees no woman will ever hurt you again. Brother, you also need to realize that most of the pain you felt came from overinvestment. You gave more than she ever earned. You poured more than she could handle. You placed her above yourself, above your purpose, above your mission. And when she disappointed you, it shattered you because you had built your identity around her. That's the mistake that ends here. From this day forward, you don't overinvest in anyone who hasn't proven their loyalty. You don't pour endlessly into someone who hasn't matched your effort. You don't gamble your entire self on a single relationship, because the man who maintains balance never collapses when someone leaves. You gave too much before, but now you know better. And once you know better, you'll never bleed for undeserving hands again. The truth is, women are drawn to strength, not sacrifice. They may thank you for your sacrifices, but they respect you for your strength. And the paradox is that the more you sacrifice without strength, the less respect they have. That's why so many nice guys finish last, because their kindness isn't anchored in power, it's anchored in neediness. They give not because they choose to, but because they hope it will make her stay. And she senses it. She senses the weakness behind the gift, the desperation behind the gesture, and that kills attraction. Brother, once you stop sacrificing to keep her and start living in strength regardless of her, you flip the script. You stop being the man who gets hurt, and you become the man who sets the tone. And here's the ultimate key. No woman can ever hurt you again. Once you understand that women are supposed to test you, their nature is to push against your frame, to challenge your consistency, to see if you'll bend. They don't do it consciously. It's wired into them. But instead of resenting it, embrace it. Because every test is an opportunity to demonstrate that your foundation is real. When she throws chaos, you respond with calm. When she withdraws affection, you remain focused on your mission. When she tries to provoke, you stand unmoved. And in that steadiness, you not only protect yourself from pain, you also earn her deepest respect. Because a man who cannot be shaken is a man who cannot be hurt. And that, brother, is the state you must live in from this day forward. You must understand that most women don't even realize the power they have over men until a man hands it to them. When you obsess over her, when you pedestalize her, when you treat her as if she's the source of your happiness, she feels it. And once she feels it, the dynamic shifts. You're no longer the grounded man she respected. You've become the follower of her mood swings. And from that moment on, everything she does has the power to hurt you because you've made her the master of your emotions. But when you flip it, when you make her the compliment, not the core, suddenly her storms lose their weight. She can pull away, she can act out, she can even leave, but your peace remains intact because you never gave her power she didn't earn. Brother, the reason no woman will ever hurt you again is because you will no longer measure yourself by her behavior. Too many men let a woman's treatment define their value. If she praises you, you feel like a king. If she ignores you, you feel worthless. That's slavery. And as long as you live like that, you will always be vulnerable. But the man who is rooted in his own worth, the man who knows who he is without her validation, cannot be broken by her withdrawal. Her approval becomes a gift, not a necessity. And when you stop needing it, her ability to hurt you evaporates. That's the freedom that comes from self-respect. This is also why you must learn the power of walking away. A man who cannot walk away is a man who can always be hurt, because she knows no matter what she does, you'll stay. And that knowledge gives her leverage. But the man who can look her in the eyes and say, if this doesn't align with my standards, I'm gone, holds the real power. Because now every game she plays risks losing you. And whether she admits it or not, that changes how she treats you. Women test to see if you'll bend, but they respect a man who refuses to break. And once you master the walkaway, you'll never again be destroyed by a woman leaving, because you chose the possibility before she ever did. Brother, pain from women often comes from attachment, not reality. You attached yourself to the fantasy of who you thought she was. You convinced yourself she was perfect, that she was forever, that she was the answer. And when the mask slipped, when reality showed up, you didn't grieve her, you grieved the dream you built in your own mind. That's why it hurt so much. But once you learn to see women as they are, not as you imagine them, the pain stops. You stop projecting, you stop romanticizing, you stop making her into a savior, and suddenly, her leaving no longer feels like the end of your world. It feels like what it truly is, someone exiting who was never meant to hold your destiny in the first place. Here's the final shift, brother. No woman will ever hurt you again once you accept that love is not about losing yourself, it's about standing firm in yourself. You can give affection, you can share intimacy, you can build connection, but you never abandon your foundation for it. Because the moment you abandon yourself, you hand her the weapon that destroys you. But when you remain rooted, when your peace, purpose, and identity remain untouched by her decisions, you rise above the cycle. She can come, she can go, she can love you, she can leave you, but you remain. And that's the ultimate freedom. Because the man who remains cannot be broken. And once you've reached that level, brother, no woman, not the one who leaves, not the one who betrays, not the one who tests, will ever be able to hurt you again. The man who cannot be hurt is not the man who avoids love, it's the man who understands it. He knows that women are emotional, that they will test, that they will shift. He doesn't demand that they stop being what they are. He simply refuses to let it dictate his reality. That's why strong men don't hate women. They accept them. They don't cling to illusions of unconditional love. They build their lives on truth. And truth says this: she may come, she may go, she may rise in passion, she may fall in boredom, but your foundation cannot move. Because your foundation is not her. it's you. Brother, you must engrave this into your mind. The pain of the past was your teacher, but it doesn't have to be your prison. Every heartbreak you endured, every betrayal you suffered, every rejection you faced was shaping you for this moment. It was God's way of stripping away your illusions so you could finally stand in clarity. The man who has been hurt deeply but rises stronger is far more powerful than the man who has never been tested, because his strength is not theory, it's earned. And once you've earned that kind of strength, you walk through life differently. You stop fearing what women can do to you because you already know what you can survive. No woman will ever hurt you again because you now know the difference between pain and destruction. Pain is temporary, it stings, but it passes. Destruction is when you allow pain to shatter your identity. Before you confuse the two, you let rejection feel like destruction. You let betrayal feel like the end of your worth. But now you see that no matter what she does, she cannot destroy you unless you hand her the power. She can leave, she can cheat, she can lie. But your mission still stands, your value still remains, your future is still yours. And once you grasp that truth, her actions lose their sting. Because nothing she does can rewrite who you are. The man who cannot be hurt is also the man who has mastered detachment. He loves fully, but he is never owned by love. He gives deeply, but he is never enslaved by giving. He enjoys the connection, but he is never consumed by it. This is the highest form of masculine strength, to engage with women without being controlled by them, to share your world without letting them become your world, to walk alongside them without ever losing sight of your own path. That is when you finally understand that love is not about surrendering your frame, it's about inviting her into it. And when you live like this, heartbreak no longer breaks you, it simply redirects you. So brother, remember this truth. No woman will ever hurt you again. Not because they'll stop trying, but because you've stopped allowing it. You've stopped building castles on illusions. You've stopped handing out loyalty without testing character. You've stopped tying your worth to her choices. You've stopped fearing her rejection. You've stopped needing her validation. From this day forward, you are untouchable, not cold, not bitter, not numb, but grounded. Grounded in who you are, grounded in what you're building, grounded in the reality that you are the prize. And once a man embraces that truth, the games lose their power, the pain loses its teeth, and the cycle of hurt ends forever. No woman will ever hurt you again, because no woman ever held the power to, unless you gave it away.